I have a very love-hate relationship with Mr. O'Brien. Sometimes he just writes things that are so amazing, and sometimes I just want him to stop talking. The first chapter of this book is one of the times where I just want him to stop talking. It just seems like he rambles on to me. It may not be that way for everyone, it's brilliant writing, I'll give him that, but I wanted it to stop. And the whole first chapter is just a list of everything the soldiers carried with them while they're at war. He takes the list of everything and he puts a weight to it, not only to show the physical burdens they were carrying, but the emotional ones they were carrying as well. A lot of this chapter focuses on Lieutenant Jimmy Cross and his obsession with Martha, who is a girl he left when he went off to war. He says in the book that he spends most of his nights and a good amount of his days daydreaming about Martha and whether she loves him or not, or if she's just signing the letters superficially. And he spends so much time looking at her pictures and wondering if she's a virgin and thinking about the one date they had. His obsession with her becomes all-consuming and he starts to neglect his men. That's why when Lavender is killed, he blames himself for it. He ends up burning all the pictures of Martha, thinking that maybe if they weren't there, he wouldn't be so distracted. Something I forget when I read this book is the characters in the book are very young. The first time I read this book, I was reading Lieutenant Cross as this older man in his 40s for some reason, and then it states that he was only, I think, 24. I think that's important to remember because the soldiers that went off to Vietnam were really young, and they didn't really have this sense of responsibility. Had it been an older person, maybe he wouldn't have been so obsessed with Martha and the idea of her being a virgin, and maybe he wouldn't have been so neglectful of his men. The second chapter is called Love, and it's kind of an epilogue to the Jimmy Martha story. It's the story of the lieutenant going to see O'Brien years after the war and recounting what happened between him and Martha. Jimmy went back to her after the war and found out that she never loved him. This had a profound effect on him. He spent so much time focusing on her, and because of that, he carries around this guilt. It's never explicitly stated in the text what he feels guilty for, but my assumption is for the death of Ted Lavender. He felt directly responsible for what happened to him. The whole second chapter to me is basically references to fallouts that happened when the soldiers came back from Vietnam. Came back, they realized that they had put so many dreams on hold. Like I said earlier, they were so young. They left college and girlfriends and families and lives, and I think part of them expected all of that to still be there for them. When they came back, they realized that none of that was there. And they also started to realize how hard it was going to be for them to talk about what happened in this war because no one would ever fully understand. Throughout the book, there are chapters to me that don't really have anything to do with the overall story or the characters. And chapter 3 was one of those chapters, so I'm not really going to talk about it. I think that's about it for the first 3 chapters. You guys can leave your comments down below. And Maria, I look forward to hearing your chapters in 2 weeks.